Intelligent and industrious, highly skilled in medicine and technology, with a creative, innovative and visionary idea and an unorthodox way of thinking, able to set priorities, identify partners and bring to life their groundbreaking concepts and solutions that fight diseases and improve human happiness and well-being. Healthcare hackers for the greater good. Do you want to become one? EIT Health InnoStars presents real healthcare hackers, the winners of the EIT Health RIS Innovation Calls for 2019 and 2020. In this podcast series, they share their experiences, the opportunities they identified, and the challenges they had to overcome. Listen in.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Wrobel and I have the pleasure to be your host. My guest today is Robert Ackermann, Chief Commercial Officer at Phoenix Orthosis. This is a Hungarian startup, and we're going to talk about what kind of solution the startup has come up with. Robert, welcome to Healthcare Hackers.
Thank you very much for having us.
Perfect. So let's start with the solution that I just mentioned. So what kind of issue, have you guys sort of identified and tried to find the solution to?
Right. So our focus is on patients that suffer from a so-called hand spasticity. That's a medical condition where the patient is not in control of their hands anymore, meaning they cannot autonomously open their fingers and hands to do daily activities such like grabbing a pole to hold themselves. And these conditions usually occur after a stroke. So our main target patients that we want to help are stroke patients that suffer from hand spasticity.
And how common is that issue in Europe, globally?
In Europe alone, we face a patient population of over 2 million stroke patients new per year. So that is a large patient population.
And when it comes to those who actually, suffer from that condition, and I'm talking about, is it a big chunk of those people?
Oh, it's actually 7 million stroke patients per year, but 2 million of them are suffering from that hand spasticity.
Okay, so what's the solution now? So how do you want to help them?
So the solution currently, of course, there's some solutions out there that try to help this condition, but these have to be used under supervision of a therapist. So always in a clinical environment. And our approach is to bring that training and rehabilitation home to the patient. So we developed a daily companion, as we would like to call it, to be with the patient all day and to help them in their daily activities, to bring more safety and more security and more self-dependency back to their normal life.
So how does that work in practice?
In practice, it is an orthosis. That is an additional device that goes around the arm and finger, and it helps to open the fingers and hands during the pressing of a button. That means the patient is able to close the hands by themselves, but cannot open it. So our device helps them to open it, to grab something for more safety or for some activities they intended to do.
Okay, so let's look at the startup itself. Can you tell us a little bit how you guys started? I know that you joined the startup a little bit later. And like I said, it is a Hungarian startup. You are based in Germany. So how does that happen?
Well, it happens very interestingly. Yeah, our company was founded in 2018 and I joined in 2020. And that was the time for the two founders and the additional engineer to realize, okay, how do we go to market and to which market? So they decided to go to the German market, and they clearly figured out that they don't know how to do it, how to bring the product to the market, how to access stakeholders, how to go for a marketing plan. And this is where I joined, and it was very, very interesting for me to see what these three amazing guys developed and brought up so far, converting their idea into a prototype. And then my way was, okay, now let's start with the German market and bring it on here. It's a perfect match of what is required.
So when you look at this, I mean, you said that you joined sort of 2 years after they set up the startup. How does that look from a non-founder perspective, and I'm talking about, joining a fantastic company with a perfect solution, but at the later stage?
It was very interesting to step into a company that isn't a company yet. It hasn't settled in meanings of a culture, in meanings of a way how to proceed now. They were so happy and so full of energy that I really like to attach myself to and bring my energy in, and to even be like a catalysator to catalyze the activities there, because I completely fitted to the spirit of the two founders, definitely. And that was quite enjoyable.
But that also means that there was quite some work to do. If you're saying that there was no culture, there was no sort of marketing plan, there was no go-to-market plan. So you had to sort of develop all that, right?
Exactly. So I was very happy to bring in all my experience from my former career, and showing them how can we do this and how we really convert it with a hands-on mentality, of course. What was really interesting as well is we don't only have to fill the like professional way or the company way, but we also had to learn from each other from different cultures, because the founders are Hungarian, I'm German, and we have to match this, and we have to merge our ideas and approaches to be on the same page. And that was the biggest challenge in the very beginning, but also the most exciting part.
So how did you work it out?
Having some good beer meetings.
That always helps. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about other challenges that you or they sort of faced before you joined them.
Well, the biggest challenges, of course, that we are facing actually in this year is COVID-19 related. We were facing a lot of delays during supplier delays or the availability of laboratories to do some testing for us. So this caused a massive delay. And it's very tricky also to align these delays with your marketing plan or go-to-market plan, because you don't want to reach out to your stakeholders, or you're building up your stakeholder network too early and then let them hang loose for a year or more. You don't want to do that, because you don't want to waste all that energy and all these contacts. So you have to be very clearly structured and strategically approaching them to don't lose traction before you even start. That is one of the main challenges.
And what does that mean in practical terms? Because, it's like hitting the right spot, but what is the right spot?
Being patient is the right spot, and knowing what you can expect from R&D, from regulatory, and how solid and valid are expected timelines or time plannings, and how you can adjust this. So being patient is key to not lose any potential markets or potential customers, potential cooperations.
Speaking about the potential markets, we've said a couple of times that the founders are Hungarian, and you're helping them navigate the German market. So this is quite interesting, I have to say, because oftentimes you have startups that are, obviously would like to reach out to a wider sort of audience or group of potential users, but they're validating their product in a specific market. Why do you think they decided to pick Germany to do that, not Hungary?
I think it has to do with the innovative approach of the product itself, and with the innovative rate of the German rehabilitation market. So that's a perfect match. We are very, like trend setting for Europe and stroke rehabilitation. There's a big community and patients associations, but also a strong medical stakeholders, key opinion leaders network. So it was worth it to go to the German market, which is one of the biggest stroke patient market as well, but also be in a trend-setting environment. So our technology approach is completely digital, in meanings of how we capture patient data, how we build a 3D printed product, and how we integrate a very special technology, I cannot disclose more than that, to that market. So we wanted to go to a market that is open for new technologies and that has a wide acceptance range, other than a more conservative setting.
So if you were to, for example, advise other startups that are, facing that challenge right now or making that or about to make that choice, which market they should look at, what are the aspects that they should actually consider?
The aspect should be that they should not fear cultural differences and mentality differences. So if they really don't like one country, but they see from market research that's the target country or the best or biggest potential market, but it doesn't feel right, then don't go there. Go to the market where it feels right and where it feels more appropriate to the company's target. In our case, Germany and Hungary worked perfectly. It was fine after a certain adjustment rate. So go there where it feels right first, and then look at the numbers.
Okay, so let's have a look at the financial part and the funding part, because that is always that's always a challenge. So how has that worked for your startup, and what sort of advice would you give to startup founders that are looking for additional funding?
Well, I cannot disclose too much here about this topic. I hope you can understand this. But
yeah,
for first funding round, it was quite important to be as honest and open and transparent as possible. Don't set expectations that are really not realistic. I personally see that the more transparent you are and the more realistic you are, the more trust you gain and the higher the outcome would be in negotiations with potential investors.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to applying for funding, because I know that the startup has also applied for grants successfully.
Yes. Well, you also not have to look at investors, but also look for fundings like we did in the EIT Health InnoStars Awards 2020, where we ranked third place, and we're very happy about this. So it's very important to get also connected to other startups, other mechanisms, especially in Europe, like with the EIT Health, to build up a network for yourself, to learn from other parties' mistakes before you do them, and to avoid delays or cost spendings, right? That was very, very helpful. And we actually got some quite good collaboration and cooperation contacts out of this as well, not only the funds.
So you are talking about, a network, and I was going to ask you about that earlier, but I will do it now. You said that once the startup arrived in Germany, you had to sort of connect them with a wide network of key opinion leaders and partners. How did that work? And was it easy for a non-German company to do so in Germany?
That's a very interesting question. Of course, we had to approach all these stakeholders by identifying them first. Who are the people that I want to talk to? And that was made in the early phase of my starting with Phoenix. And then I simply did a cold acquisition. And during that cold acquisition, I brought a prototype with me, not only slides, very important. If you have a physical device, bring it with you, or a prototype or functional model, however you want to call it. And surprisingly, it did not matter at all that there was a Hungarian company behind. It was a contact that we made to professionals, and they gave their professional opinion about a professional looking product or prototype. So it does not matter. And as a little insight, we will put Made in EU on our brand. So it doesn't matter if it's Hungarian or Croatian or Italian or French, and you go to the German market. It does not matter. It's about the product itself and how you deliver the idea behind.
That's a very smart move. Okay. Any final advice to startup founders that you would like to share so they can actually, make their health tech product, innovative product, available in Europe or worldwide?
Get out, get out, get out. Meaning bring your prototypes, your functional models, your products even out to as many people as possible that you trust and where you can expect some meaningful feedback, but don't fall into a trap of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, don't go to anyone where you already know the result. That is boring. That you don't have to waste that time.
So tell me where you are now with the startup and with the product, and what's in front of you right now within the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, within that time period. So we're finalizing technical documentation. Of course, we are in a regulated environment. We have to be very specific and clear to get the regulatory clearance for our product, and of course to prepare the market entry. Find the first patients, find the doctors, prepare the, let's say, patient journey, how the patient will get finally his or her product. That's what we're doing. Technical documentation and marketing.
So when can we expect the first patients to actually make use of the device?
That will be mid of next year. We're planning to introduce our product to the first patients mid of next year.
Robert, thank you very much for all the insight. It's been a pleasure, and best of luck for yourself and for the company.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
This was Healthcare Hackers. Stay tuned to the next episode, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review. And don't forget to check out our EIT Health InnoStars website for more info about the EIT Health RIS Innovation Calls and other opportunities and stories.